Yes. All right. Hi, my name is Josh Roy. We're sitting here in a renovation project in Northeast DC. Coming soon. I have two heavyweight investors in the DMV with me here. Mr. Joe Asamoah, also known as Dr. Joe, and Mr. Brian Shanklin. Both of these two have over 20 years experience in this real estate business. They've seen a lot of the ups and downs. They're very familiar with what real numbers are and how to overcome a lot of the challenges that many investors face. So I'm just going to kind of talk to both of them about the different strategies as it involves with buy and hold versus the fix and flip strategy. Dr. Joe is heavily invested in the buy and hold. You're almost, 100% buy and hold now, right?
100%.
100%. Okay, so we're going to talk about...
The only way.
Only way, okay. Exactly. And Brian, he is a developer, so he's brought into a lot of renovation projects where people are doing joint venture, fix and flips, things of that nature. So he has a buy and hold portfolio as well. But because he's a developer, he does a lot of fix and flip projects for his customers and clients and partners. So Dr. Joe, first we'll start with you.
Yep.
First of all, how did you get into the business? What's the path that you entered? Did you come up under a mentorship, or you just said, I'm gonna roll my sleeves up? Or tell us how about you went about it?
Yeah, essentially what happened was that I used to live in England. When I came to the US, I was working for a few months here, and my boss had been fired.
Okay.
I came back from vacation, and he was gone.
Wow.
So I hooked up with him a few weeks later, and we had a really good conversation.
Okay.
And the gist of it was that he said, no big deal, this happens, this is America. Welcome to the real world. Yeah. And he said, well, I have these rental properties. So I have this passive income that's coming through every month. So it's okay for me. I've got this income stream.
Okay.
So he says to me, you may want to check this real estate thing out. And if you do, if you buy anything, try to keep it. Don't sell it.
Okay.
In the long run, you'll really appreciate that. And you'll get passive income, you get appreciation, all the benefits of real estate. So explore real estate, and if you do anything, try and hold on to your properties. And that was really the genesis of what got me into this thing. I knew nothing about real estate. This guy at that time, I think he had 10 houses. And to me, anybody owning more than one house is like unbelievable.
Yeah. You're rich.
Yeah, well, this guy had 10. I was like,
I got you.
and so on. So that's really what started me. I bought my first house in DC in '87, $40,000 in Columbia Heights, Northwest. And people at that time told me I was getting ripped off. I was paying too much. And this house had tenants in there. It's a long, disastrous first, approach into real estate. It was a complete disaster. Everything went wrong. But it's okay. I learned a lot from that experience. I just kept on buying more houses, But I kept my houses.
Okay.
And until 2003, when my income from my rental properties equaled what I was making at my job.
Okay.
And so that was what the path I took, why I took it, and what led me to sort of financial independence.
Awesome. Okay. Brian, how did you get started in the real estate business?
I got started in the real estate business back in the 80s. I used to actually work for my aunt and uncle. They used to buy, hold, and flip properties. So I actually learned from them. Then in the 90s, I became a real estate appraiser in 1991. Studied under a guy named Stu Reynolds. He was the head of the real estate commission board and also the appraisal board. Then I got real heavy into real estate investing in like 2001, 2002. That's when I started my actual custom turnkey real estate model, basically flipping 2 properties, holding 1, flipping 2 properties, holding 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we could probably do a thesis on this, but just kind of at the high level, what are some of the challenges that you face in the buy and hold strategy?
I think as a buy and hold investor, the biggest challenge if you're holding properties is that you're going to have tenants.
Okay.
And so the biggest challenge is managing those tenant relationships. And it really all starts on your screening. Because as you know, especially in the DC area, especially Washington DC, it's easy to get someone into your house. It's a lot more difficult to get them out once they're in. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. So DC is a whole nother world. But the bottom line is that if you can't manage that process of screening tenants, then you're destined for disaster. You're destined for failure. So I always think that one of the biggest success I've had is being able to understand that process, be very thorough, and therefore get the right person into your home who's going to stay in your home for a long time, pay the rent, keep it up, and things like that.
Okay, awesome. And again, I know we could write a novel on the challenges, but just try to keep it at the high level. What are some of the main challenges you usually face with the fix and flip strategy?
No, I'm gonna go on the actual buying wholesale, then go to the
Okay.
flip strategy. Like I said, with the rental properties in DC, I really don't have problems with the tenants.
Okay.
Not even the ones in PG County, but the tenants in Baltimore, they're a different animal.
Different breed. Okay.
Yeah, so it's
You too headed.
yeah. So I advise people when you go into Baltimore, basically property manage your own properties up there because some of the property managers up there and some of the contractors have different philosophy. Your level of good rehab is a different level than what they actually believe or what they actually think. But the problems I have on most of my actual flips is basically managing your contractors. It's the same exact thing. I don't let my contractors pick out nothing. Color schemes, nothing. I basically project manage everything. Actually,
Micromanage that whole process.
Yeah.
Okay.
They choose nothing.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, that's the bad. So let's talk about some of the good. You started to touch on some of them when you mentioned appreciation. Talk about some more of the benefits of sticking with the buy and hold strategy.
Yeah, I mean, the analogy I can give, I think everyone's heard of that story, the golden goose lays golden eggs.
Yes.
Okay, you have this golden goose, which in real estate terms is the real estate, the asset. It lays golden eggs. The golden eggs in real estate would be the appreciation, the cash flow, the tax benefits, the ability to leverage the property, and the equity build over a period of time. So the golden goose lays these golden eggs. If you sell the property, essentially you're giving this golden goose to somebody else who's going to take advantage of these golden eggs. If you keep the asset, then you're now the beneficiary of these golden eggs. So over time, you have these golden eggs being generated. If you buy more properties, you have multiple golden geese, multiple golden eggs. So you build a whole flock of geese. So you have a whole flock of geese flying around and so on. So really, what happens is that you're able to build wealth a lot faster because you're keeping these golden eggs, as opposed to giving it to somebody else who's going to benefit from those things. So an example would be you buy a house like the first house I told you about, and $40,000 in Northwest DC. It was a few years ago, in '87. But I mean, the asset. Before most people here were born. But it's okay. I mean, at the time when I first bought the house, the cash flow was $50, which is nothing. Right now, the house is free and clear. The rent is $4,676. The house I bought for $40,000 is now worth $750,000. So if you multiply that over a number of properties, it really doesn't take you a lot to figure out that this is a vehicle to build wealth, and it really is a great way to generate financial independence.
Okay. Just a little further on that. For somebody that's getting into the market now, there's not many $40,000 properties in DC.
Right.
But what would you recommend as kind of a comfortable or safe spot when you're looking for cash flow margins?
Okay. It really depends on the person. At that time, I had a job. So I wasn't dependent on this property to eat.
Gotcha.
Okay, so obviously $50, you can't pay your car note, you can't pay your mortgage and rent. So you got to take care of your cash needs. Because if you can't take care of your cash need, if you can't eat, if you can't pay your gas bill, then it's all well and good to talk about these rental properties, but you got no food. So
it's pretty important.
Exactly. So the first thing is take care of your cash needs.
Okay.
And you can do that through flipping, you can do that through wholesaling, you can do that through a job, and so on. But don't let the cash strategies be your only strategy.
Correct.
Because you have to have a vehicle whereby at some point, hopefully you get residual income, which will keep it going. So, so to answer the question, you start where you start.
Okay.
You start where you can. Okay, I mean, I started in Northwest DC, which at the time was pretty bad. I mean, Columbia Heights today was not the Columbia Heights it was.
I remember the DC 80s. Yeah,
exactly. It wasn't,
different
it wasn't for the beacon vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you start where you can. Okay, but the important thing is to start. Okay, and then you start those step by step by step. Ultimately, you can then transition from one area to another area and so forth. But you have a game plan.
Absolutely. Okay. Ryan, talk to us about some of the pros of flipping.
The actual main benefit is actually for flipper property is basically getting the quick cash. To take the actual quick cash and put it into buy and hold properties. That's something I actually teach. Take your money from the actual flip, put it in the buy and hold. I'm like, don't go buy a car, don't go buy a whole lot of jewelry.
Don't blow the money.
Don't blow the money. I'm like, put it straight back. I'm like, my philosophy is do 2 flips, buy and hold, 2 flips, buy and hold. And try to get your actual residual income up to like $7,000 to $10,000 as quick as possible, so you can actually leave your job to become an actual full-time investor. To become a Joe Assamore, the cash flow $4,000 off of one property.
Got you.
One property.
Yeah. That's pretty nice elbow room.
Yeah, especially you have 4 of those.
Yeah.
Well, that's like $16,000. So I'm like, even with like $12,000 a month, that's good money for most people. So.
But the only add-on to what Brian is saying is that, unfortunately, a lot of the investors, when they flip a house, they spend the money. So, and that's the problem. That's one of the downsides. It's very addictive. This sort of quick cash. It's like a feast and famine. You're starving for a while. You get the flip. You sell the property. You get this injection of cash. And if you're not careful, you're going to spend that cash. And therefore, what happens is after all is said and done, when you cut through the chase, you can ask a very legitimate question, which is, okay, what do you have to show for this? What do you have to show? What's the bottom line? What do you have to show for all this hard work, all this sort of flipping and all these real estate things that you've been doing? What do you have to actually show for it?
Absolutely. Okay,
and many people, beyond the material, nice car, nice clothes, and eating out well, yard,
all the things.
When you get beyond that, they have nothing. Okay, and so they have nothing to show, nothing to pass on to future generations, nothing to leave as a legacy, and that's one of the things about the buy and hold model, is that at the end of the day you have something tangible, something physical that you can touch and see. You can say, this is what I have to show for this. But I mean, we'll get through the discussion before. There's buy and hold and what I call strategic buy and hold, which is 2 completely different things.
Okay.
I mean, buy and hold for the sake of buy and hold is fine, but there's a strategy in order to be able to get to what we were talking about earlier on, the end game, which is financial independence.
Absolutely. So it sounds like we also hear a discipline component. You can go out and make all the money in the world, but if you don't have that discipline to manage the finances and wisely reinvest strategically to make more money and build that legacy long term, then what do you have to show for it? Okay? So real quickly, we're going to kind of just wrap this up, but one thing that I want to just touch on, because I had you two in the same room, and in my opinion, from different networking events and seminars and so forth, you two are probably the best qualified to speak on real numbers. So if you could just kind of touch on that real quick, because a lot of people I see, they get caught up in, kind of, I can do this for $30 a square foot, $50 a square foot. Just talk on the importance of that and how easily you can kind of get caught, whether you buy or hold or flip, if you're not using real numbers.
You start? Okay. So, my buy and holds are primarily in Washington, D.C. area. I like Washington, D.C. Because the rents are higher and the appreciation is there, and you're able to, to get appreciation more so than other places. So what I do when somebody approaches me with a potential deal, lead, or whatever you want to call it, typically a wholesaler will call me, hey Joe, I got a hot deal. You got to buy it right now. The rehab cost is $20 and ARV is at $10 million.
It happens all the time.
You want it.
Right.
Okay, once you get, yeah, right. So once you get beyond that, when you dig into the numbers, what is the true after repair value? What is the true repair cost? You know, how do you get this $50,000 repair cost? How do you get to that point? So once you dig through and you realize that the numbers, especially the repair cost and the ARV, are inflated. Well, no, the repair cost is usually underrated, and the ARV is usually overrated.
Yeah.
Okay, which means that the spread is usually higher than what it really is.
Right.
Okay, so as a seasoned investor, it's our duty, our responsibility is to delve in more details as to you know, how factual those numbers are. Once you do that, then, you know, from my perspective, it's a matter of, if I keep this house, what would the rent be? How much rent can I get from this house? And with the Section 8 model, your rent is based on several things. It's based on the location, specifically the neighborhood, because one neighborhood will get a different rent than another neighborhood. And the other thing would be how many bedrooms. So we can buy the same house, and one person may make it a 3-bedroom, another person may make it a 4-bedroom, another person may make it a 5-bedroom. It's the same house, okay, but now we can get 3 different rents. One for a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, and 5-bedroom. So obviously, if the cash flow is the game, then you want to maximize your rent. So you want to maximize, if you're going to play in the sort of the housing choice voucher program game, then you want to maximize the number of bedrooms, so that way you can get the maximum rent. And then obviously, once you buy the house, fix it up, you're probably going to refinance that house, so it's like you replenish you pay off your short-term loans, replace that with permanent long-term loans. Okay, and then you'll have a mortgage or you have a debt which you have to service every month. So the question becomes, what is the cash flow after you pay all your expenses? You know, what's the net, and so on. So again, my position is that I'm into appreciation. Okay, so I'm looking for properties where I stand a better chance of appreciation, and therefore I'm okay to reduce my cash flow, you know, requirements, because I feel that the appreciation is more important to me. Now, somebody else may feel that the cash flow is more important, and therefore the appreciation may not be as important for them. So everybody's different. Everybody has a different game plan. It's just like where I am right now, I'm more valuable. I see appreciation as more valuable, because at the end of the day, $30, $50, $100, $200, it's really insignificant if the house goes from 500 to 800 to 900 to $1 million.
Correct.
True indeed.
You know what I mean? And so on. So that's you know, that's really what I look for in terms of the numbers. Is you know, what's the after repair value? What's the repair cost? Once I refinance, what's the you know, the mortgage going to go, the debt, the expenses that's going to be, and what's the rent that I'm going to be collecting? How do I maximize that rent such that I can at least get a decent cash flow, so that way the house sustains itself, it supports itself. I don't have to every month keep on injecting money into this house.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, my philosophy is basically the same way, but I go out the, you know, like in Baltimore, I go out the cash flow. PG County cash flow, and in DC, I go out to the equity position. Because that's basically it. DC basically equity. I play the actual equity. PG County, DC, and also Baltimore equity. Because like in Baltimore, I can buy a property, be all in for 110. And probably get anywhere from like $1,400 to $1,800 a month. And like DC, let's use like Deanwood for example. I can probably be all in for like around $260, $270, and probably get somewhere like around $2,400 a month. But the actual property may appraise for like $4.25. But like in Baltimore, the property that's 110, all it's going to appraise for is 120, 130. 5 years from there, it might be 125. But like in Deanwood, that property might be $600,000 or $700,000. I've seen Deanwood go from over the last 4 years from 170 to 4.25. Yeah, so
crazy.
Yeah. So
okay. All right. Well, look, I appreciate both of your time answering the questions for the people, new investors. These are two really great resources if you ever have the opportunity to connect and get accurate information, because there's a lot of stuff floating out there, but it's not all accurate. So do you want to give maybe social media handles or anything like that so people can kind of follow your page and stay up with the information and projects you're working on, stuff like that?
Yeah, for me, you can go, the best way to reach me is my website, which is www.joeasamoah, JoeAsamoah.com. You can follow me that way. I do have rehab workshops every now and then where I show people exactly what I do. I invite them to my properties. I have several projects going on, and I'm always looking to learn, looking to share information. There's enough for everybody. The pie is big enough. The demand, especially in the buy and hold space, is so great that you can't fill it. There's enough for everybody.
Certainly. Your information?
You can also follow him on Twitter at Ask Dr. Joe, and also Facebook at Ask Dr. Joe, and Google Plus at Ask Dr.
Exactly.
Joe. And you know, follow me at
There's one right with me.
you can follow me at brianshanklin.com and also at customturnkeyrealestate.com.
All right.
Okay.
Excellent. All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you for your
Thank you.
time. Thank you for answering questions for
Yeah.
the people.
Yeah.
Also, my name is Josh Roy. You can follow me on Facebook at Josh Roy. You can catch me on LinkedIn, Turnkey Homes LLC. And we'll be, continuing to bring you content and updates. And also, if you are interested in any joint venturing, you can reach out to any of us and find out how you can get involved in the real estate game as well. All right? Take care.